Alright, Minnie. Ready to start docking sequence?
Okay. Engaging retro thrusters now. Lunar Transfer Station Tacoma. Commercial Cargo Transit Facility. Crew evacuated. Station AI offline.
Air supply?
Breathable air on Tacoma for a crew of 1 should be more than sufficient. Docking now.
Nice. Thanks, Minnie.
In 2088, mankind is already a little further along in space travel than it's today. While today we only have the ISS and China is working on another space station, there's much more of it in this future story that Tacoma describes. The story takes place on one of these space stations called Tacoma. We take over the role of Amy Ferrier, who was sent to the station to collect data locally and bring it back to Earth, because on the space station Tacoma there was an incident and the crew had to be evacuated. To get the data we have to go from one area to another and at a hub to download the data on the tablet. This process takes a very long time, and so there's a lot of time for us to explore the space station. Exploring is not limited to the simple search of individual places. Thanks to augmented reality, we can experience what happened on the space station in the past. Because inside the space station everything is recorded, everything that the crew members have done, and some of these recordings we get to see. And this element makes the game interesting and entertaining.
Yearly report to Ventura's Corporation, take 3. Odin, have you got me?
I am prepared.
Okay. I'll just,
Tacoma is now one of many indie games. Just a few years ago these kinds of indie games were something special, a quiet and relaxed exploration and discovery of a game world. But what once was something special has now become something more or less normal. There are just a lot of these indie games nowadays, and therefore they have to be different, unusual and new. Tacoma does this through the way the story is told. At first glance, Tacoma is an indie game just like many others. Very quiet and unagitated, no deep gameplay and hardly any interaction with the game world. The focus is clearly on the story and exploring. In some other games building up an atmosphere plays a role, but that's usually it. With these keywords you can describe many and also very good games. The special thing now is that in Tacoma you get the story told through the recorded conversations of the crew members, but not all members are necessarily at the same place at the same time. Therefore you can follow the conversations of 2 people, for example, and then go back a little in the recording to follow another conversations of others at a different place. This may sound a bit complicated according to my description, but the persons are never far away from each other and you can simply go back and forth.
Odin's masterpiece.
Sarah, come on up. It's ready.
okay, just a minute.
Contagious effects might arise if 2 AI were to meet.
Okay, just a minute.
This way you can retell what actually happened and how the crew members dealt with it. But of course the whole thing would only be half as entertaining if the story wouldn't be that good and interesting. This wasn't the best story I've ever been told in games, but as I said, it was still very well done and interesting. So how can you summarize Tacoma, and for whom is the game something? Tacoma is one of many indie games, but it's mainly characterized by refreshing and very well done storytelling. Therefore, the game is clearly aimed at people who have a preference for quiet indie games that focus on telling a story.